Hello there, my beloveds. Welcome, my amazing Ascension pioneers. Yesterday I did a video on fully living our authentic self. Today I'm going to focus more, as I promised, on spiritual ego, because that is what is dissolving now in the area of everything. I was talking with my sister of light a while ago, and she said this is probably the most stubborn part of ego that still persists in so many, and it's kind of hard to let go of. And we will go more into introspection of that and with a few examples. This is something that maybe people are not so guided to watch because everybody wants to hear about, rainbow, glitter, give me all the good stuff. Give me the good stuff in Ascension. And actually, everything is neutral. You have the good, the bad. It's how we experience it. But every part of us, even that, which might have been suppressed for eons and eons of time, maybe not so much, maybe a short period of time, but it doesn't matter. What matters is the divine remembrance is now really coming through. And the purer we get, the more everything migrates toward that purity, the more everything is dissolving, in this matrix of the old and is being reprogrammed with the new. And this is our true self. As promised yesterday, but I didn't have the chance to because the video was already too long. Firstly, before I start giving my own examples and speaking more about that, I would like to read some notes from Kara Shalak, who writes wonderful Ascension notes, and her webpage is solsticerising.com. I share her work because we really basically have so much things that are similar to share, and we support one another. That is why I share. And it's how it is, some people we resonate with have a similar timeline that we do, some we resonate less, and there's no ego in that. It's just embracing what really feels good to us, what really feels good to our heart, and taking that journey. There is no ego in that. It's just fully feeling our own part, of creation. So she was writing about the Ascension portals, and she said, note that the energies, as we're getting closer to the 12/12 and 21st of 12, are building to bring more awareness to what we still are urged to let go of. Take a look at where you're still attached. How do you know you're attached? It is when you look outside yourself for confirmation and or are in judgment about how a situation or person responds to you, or how you're judging yourself. It is an expectation you have for how you think things should be, rather than allowing what is. I usually say the same thing. The energies and your soul and angels are continuing to show you where you're still holding on. The feeling of this will be uncomfortable, for the old simply does not feel good amongst all the light you are. So continue releasing anything that is not love or congruent with who you know you truly are, divine love. As we move closer and closer to the first stage of completion, realize that we each are experiencing different aspects of clearing and integrating and creating anew. Some are dissolving illusions. These can be anything that are shoulds or supposed to. And these are basically the only illusions we have. And I'll speak about illusion later because I was writing a post about that just yesterday. So, supposed to's, and for instance, she gave an example like marriage is forever, or all families are close and happy, or whatever is up for you to take a closer look at. Yesterday I shared a similar example on politeness, which is an old-rooted pattern. Some are still choosing to release certain beliefs, patterns, and people that hold us back in the old. Some are completely clear of everything, experiencing only love and expansion, while others are experiencing physical release of the old. Like I said, each on our own timeline. So others experience a little of everything. That is true. Whatever and wherever you are is perfect for you, and please know that there is no pressure on whenever this gets taken care of. Completion is relative, so relax and deal only with what is in your life to deal with, because completion is also knowing that we're eternally moving. Like I said, this is the creation part of us. The eternal part of us, the I am, is the non-moving part of us. So I have a lot more to say on these eternal paradoxes, and the coexistence of both, our human and divine self. And I'll be making a lot more videos on that because it's based on creation principles and what is flowing through me through my own awareness. So she wrote, you will know by how you feel, how to deal with. If there is something like a discomfort, then certainly there is something within that is calling upon you to take a look at. Also, if you feel uncomfortable or lost or confused or this word, discombobulated, I don't know, I'm sorry. Realize that this is perfect, as we also are being worked on by our Ascension team of angels and guides. Allow it to be rather than trying to get rid of your comfortable feeling. So it's not about denying it, it's not about negating the experience. Instead, trust that whatever is going on is perfect for wherever you are. Focus on what you want your new life to feel like without details. For instance, if you want your life to vibrate in joy, focus on joy and do those things that are joyous for you. If you want your life to vibrate in love, do those things that are loving for yourself and others, and so forth. Actually, these essences are also connected, when you really realize that from the level of oneness. For many of us who have completed the letting go stage, we are now creating our new life. So now is the time to decide what you want your life to be created from. Our new life is created from soul essences and wherever you place your intention. She also wrote, and this is very important, one of our purposes as we move further and further into December and full merge with soul is to keep our vibration high and follow our guidance 100%. If you are procrastinating at all, there is something holding you back. Take a look at any area in which you are not 100% vibrating in passion and joy. That's right. That's what I was talking about yesterday in my video about authenticity. And then make a decision. Are you in the right place? Do you need to adjust something within yourself, like change your perception? Are you clinging to your comfort zone of how you think something should be? Listen with your heart and take a step in the direction of passion and joy. Let go of anything that is not aligned with these soul essences, for we cannot go forward unless we're completely aligned with love. She also wrote that the effects that we have gathered from the latest eclipse last for several months. So realize that any last changes through changes you make definitely take you into new life. This particular eclipse helps us release anything that stands in the way of being merged with soul, anything that does not serve you in the highest evolutionary way. So release anything that stands in your way. Now is the perfect time to do so and empower who you are becoming. And I was writing about that and reading it to all of you and speaking about authenticity. But for me, this is Ascension. So this is to be anchored during the 12/12 and 21st of 12 portals. As you allow these powerful energies to flow and rearrange and upgrade, also intend that everything is for your very highest evolution. All is in divine order. Surrender to it, beloveds. Okay, so these are her amazing notes. This was kind of like an introduction for my video. Some softness before I talk about some, more hidden aspects of us on a global level, on a collective level, and personally as we're walking through our ascension journey. Like I said yesterday, the emphasis is that the ascension is our full merging, the understanding of our true nature, coexisting in our eternal self as the I am and the creation part of us. So we are both. This is like a paradox, at the same time, you are always the divine source, the I am that I am. And at the same time, you're also flowing with all creation, and there are many multidimensional parts of you. So to have this awareness within you means that you have integrated your ascension awareness, that you are a being, a full expansion, and you're ready to realize that everything is so much broader than you have imagined it through your human filter, and especially the realization that these two, the divine and human self, are not separate. So that means that all the old, especially the spiritual ego, are now falling away, because now you see that even that, which is ego, which is the mind, the mind that governs ourself is the ego, because it took, it's not merging itself in complete balance and unison, but it started to dominate. So when a certain aspect starts dominating, that's when we usually call it ego, and it's not knowing ourselves. So even that is coming from the divine. And when we know that, when we can fully embrace this oneness, we are living our ascension, our ascended state. So it's about being our full authentic self. That doesn't just mean, when I say authentic self, that it's about you, saying, I'm always doing what I like doing. It's about you living your fullest divinity, embody it. Some people still say many things, but they do not fully live that love in action. I have many examples of such. It's not just about the words. So I'll give you a few examples, what was occurring. And these are good examples. Oh, say hello to my Hello Kitty pen. These are a few examples as to how we can recognize that which, we are anchoring our true essences. And at the same time, there are things shown to us that are not of the highest order. So I would love to give those examples so you can further recognize them in your own path. It doesn't have to be you. There are many people who have these things, and by just holding the light, holding the space, not reacting, just being in yourself and your essences, means that you will not respond if it's maybe coming from other people, and if you are being bombarded by spiritual ego from the external source. Remember, all is one. We're all one. You don't have to share your path for instance, with individuals who do not resonate with you, because it's how it is. Like I say, every part of creation already knows itself and is aware to the degree that the seeds are planted. Within, we all have the same seeds planted, but the potential, the individuality, uniqueness is different. So when we say more or less, the labels we have been so accustomed to here on earth, we really see that it's not so, and it's just more or less expanded. And even so, when you move further along, you will just see that there are different sets of expression, within everything that is, within all that is. So for instance, you have a soul. It's not just about, the comparison between young, old soul, their evolutionary journey. When you will move further, you will see that it's also about the different, for instance, if the individualization of that soul, like, you have a factory, and some factors are doing certain deeds, and other, factory workers are more specialized in another area. Sometimes what we come here to share in our unique experiences is also about specialization, how we fully live something that we really came here to do, like in training. But still, it's not who we are. We are so much more, Okay, so where does spiritual ego show us what we truly are not, and how we can be focused on this? One example is the letter that I got was this person who was saying me how, first of all, I was labeled as a teacher, which again, I would like to reference here. These are all labels of the old. At the beginning, when I was reading Patricia Corey's books, and I was recognizing myself as one of those who is a part of the Ascension guides, now, even that doesn't resonate anymore, because I'm attuning to new energies, and I'm not defining myself by anything. This is very limiting. A lot of people call themselves many sorts of names: spiritual teacher, enlightened master, this and that, guru, this and that. I really, on my journey, where I am now, I no longer choose any sorts of labels. All language is for me neutral, even that which some people have abused, such as words as, I was talking about this with my beloved yesterday, the words divine messenger. The word messenger has been manipulated. At the same time, every word has been misused, even the word ascension. But in fact, when you're a human part, that you can also use these words that have been manipulated through neutrality. Okay, so, but first you have to come to the awareness of that neutrality, okay? It's about sharing the truth, the energy that is behind everything. Spiritual ego and ego in general will always cling on to words. When you're not coming from your ego, you will have nothing to cling to. You will be just pure awareness, observing itself. Okay, so this first example was this person writing to me how I should do things, because I have taken upon this responsibility as a teacher. And I was just laughing because, firstly, I don't have any responsibility. I am not a teacher. I'm here to share my journey. And if I can assist someone along the way to remember faster, because it's all about the words of the divine remembrance that I'm anchoring through, that's all that I'm doing, nothing else. It's just, like I said yesterday, if someone sees it, if someone is being helped by that, influenced by that, it's good. If not, it's good as well. And this was a great example because the person didn't recognize the mirror that they were holding to themselves, that, basically what we do before we, sweep under our own, front door, we cannot really tell others what to do, because this is spiritual ego. Spiritual ego will always be attached to certain ways that things are supposed to be. For instance, you will see someone and you'll say, okay, they're at this stage of evolution and I don't like how they're doing things, so I have to tell them my own. And you'll be writing to them and you'll be explaining to them how you feel about this and how you feel about their journey, instead of feeling oneness with them and where they are, and that they, as directly the same source that flows through all, are knowing where they have to be, where they're needed to be. It's like you can't tell people what to do, and you can't feel that you're responsible for them, that you can save them through your words, and that you know better than they do, because you do not. And this is the finest example of spiritual ego. The other example was when this person was writing comments on my Facebook page this week, how it should be different, how I could be doing things differently, more expansive, sure, more, because people who have special abilities are supposed to be just, like self-sacrifice, not even have their own life, something like that. It was very, very much coming from these old beliefs, that the beliefs of sacrifice, even how people are picturing Jesus, that he was the sacrifice for the whole of humanity. That is not true. He came here, he shared his journey, he shared his knowing on a soul level. He came, he had messages to share, he was just sharing, and that's it. He was a soul that had that wisdom. And if he influenced those who he was able to influence, then that was really what he was, here to do. What was decreed so through spirit. And that's all. What we do is we create this false image of sacrifice, so I'm here, I'm doing this, what I'm doing, I'm just sharing, and some people would see that, she knows so much, so she could be doing so much more, so it's about her self-sacrifice. No, I also have a life of my own, and I continue to have a life of my own, and we all have a life of our own, and we are entitled to whatever experience we desire to experience. At the same time, what we're good at, what we're specialized at, what we love doing, we can share and we can provide this unique pattern, this unique energy signature through this world. So by the responses from that person, it was clearly obvious that the ego was still holding on to that. Because what he did is he accused not just me, but in general, people who are being misguided in that way, that we're not doing things that, we're supposed to do them. And I was just laughing because it's so funny to see how some people just are so convinced, so believe in those opinions that they just can't let it go, even if it's including other people, and they really clearly don't know other people. You can only know and walk your journey. So it was very funny to me because the reaction really showed that the ego itself wanted to defend itself. So what happens is, I was talking about this with my beloved, and he explained this beautifully. He said, the moment the ego doesn't want to give up, it defends, what is being verbalized, for instance. Why? Because the ego identifies itself with it. So if you would, destroy those grounds, you'd have nothing left. So that's the basic nature of ego. It imposes things. It wants to persuade others. It wants to persuade others in the same illusion of the ego that it has itself. Okay, so this was a lovely, lovely example, again, how spiritual ego is strong. Spiritual ego is basically when someone knows something in spirituality, and they have these spiritual definitions. And they think these are the right ones for everyone. And they try to, they're so deeply rooted at that. And those are still beliefs that it's not spirit flowing through you into eternal knowingness and unknowingness at the same time, because we're an empty vessel, and we also are keep fooling ourselves with the experiences that we are gathering along the journey. So this was another, like I say, example of how ego, especially spiritual ego, is strong, and it wants to hold these grounds and wants to build this. I think it was called the Ivory Tower by Stuart Wilde. I think it's Stuart Wilde in his lovely audio clips. I think I've listened to that once. How the ego does that. It builds like this tower and nothing else is possible, and it's how it is, period. So spiritual ego can be very, very stubborn. And you will notice this if you still have some of that in you, or you will noticing it in others, as you just have to be observant. What you're still defending. What do you think you know better than others? Instead of just sharing the divinity, the divine, whatever is messages, it's photographs, it's paintings, whatever it is that's flowing through you. That is a great difference. Whether you're just a channel for sharing or you're defending something. At the same time, one of these patterns is what I anchor through me is mine. You have copyrights and many sorts of things like that. Again, for me, this is coming from spiritual ego. In truth, when you truly are just a vessel, you share everything and you share it freely. For me, one of these examples is, for instance, I would know on a soul level about creation principles. And what I would do, I would say that those who want to also know them have to pay me for them. And it's very funny because we all have, like I said, the seed of this. We all have this potential, but it's up to each and every one of us to feel them, because divine remembrance only comes from within. But the spiritual ego tells you, no, it's coming from me, and I will also convince others. And I'm defending my, ivory tower. This is what spiritual ego does. The third example is this comment that was shared yesterday about illusion. And it's very funny. And as a reply to that, I was really guided to write this post about illusion. And this is what I wrote. There's still some individuals who believe and say that this life is an illusion, because that is what was said. Life is an illusion. And there's so many New Agers that say that. It's so funny. It always makes me smile. To me, this is a very New Age belief, because life is not an illusion. It is very much real, and so are all the experiences we are feeling. They are a part of infinite creation, for all of life in creation is real and created by the divine. When I see this copy-paste belief, it makes me smile. Life is creation, and why would creation be an illusion? According to that belief, our source would seem rather silly one, So for me, this is pure nonsense, because everything is as real as we experience it. Whatever we feel is real. We are both divine and human beings. They are not separate, as life and divinity are not separate. They're one. Divinity creates life. Remember also that every form of life is different and it's a unique experience, but they are not all real, but they are all real just because they exist. And we are all just as real. So, there's, in essence, what this means is those who say it's an illusion have sort of like an escape plan, like you have an opportunity of escapism there. You have that option. So if things will become in a way that maybe I'll have to take responsibility for my experiences, I would rather choose escapism, So I'm sorry. The phone rang, so I had to stop it. So you would have that way out, in a way, like ticket out. And in fact, there's a lot of those who say that this is an illusion, because it kind of, then those who believe that forces them to, just stay in their heads, live there, instead of really fully merging their divine and human self. Okay, someone is really persistent today, and I will not like to answer that because I'm making a video. Okay, hope it's over now. So why is it so hard for us to let go of this? Why is it so hard to let go of these beliefs? And why not rather, ask ourselves, where is this coming from? This spiritual belief I have, is it truly my source knowing? Is it a belief and an opinion that I have gathered around that belief, which was, where did I gather it? Was it truly coming from me, or did I pick it somewhere along the way, maybe by watching spiritual videos or texts or whatever? Because those texts that are inspired by truth will inspire you to go within, to find your own truth, and there will be no spiritual ego in that. It will be words or texts or images, like I say, many different forms of media that will just trigger your own divine remembrance of what you already know, what is already inside of you. So when we can be in this state of sharing and neutrality, we will see that there is no more need for that. We don't influence anyone. We're not responsible for anyone. We don't have any labels. We are just spirits intermingling with each other in this soup of oneness. So why is it so hard to let go of this? Why has this become such a stubborn pattern? I don't know. We're still revealing that. But I think it's going to become very apparent to all of us in this age when there's so many Scorpio energies and a lot of this resurfacing, which was suppressed for so long, as a collective in humanity. I was reading this paragraph from the book of Dolores Cannon, the Keepers of the Garden, and it was said that there are many those who came here who have built this need to say we are a certain type of being and then we're more. And what happens is, you get that sense of worship here. And again, this is coming from spiritual ego. Spiritual ego would not exist if that lack of self-empowerment would also at the same time not exist and support spiritual ego. So, when I was talking about releasing those labels and definitions such as lightworker, starseed, all of that, what is helpful here is that we understand without these labels, we can experience anything. We allow ourselves to experience anything. No one can govern us. No one can tell us what to do, because we ourselves are not governing us, are not limiting ourselves. It's always a direct reflection thing. And when we see this, we are able to see beyond. We're able to see beyond just what we think is known. If we say, I'm a starseed, period, then you won't open yourself up to so much more, to your true nature of your I am, to be expressed to you in that moment, in every moment. Truth can only be felt in the moment. And like I say, there are really no teachers. You can read Tao Te Ching. This is a really great writing. It's an internal wisdom. It never changes. These are the words of the infinite. As everything changes, as our experience and perception of the reality changes, some things, which is our eternal state, will never change. And these are the eternal truths, and they're not the same as opinions. So if you're guided, or you can read many of these truths. For instance, Tao Te Ching is one of the greatest sources on this. And like I said, these labels, what they're here is they're here to teach us, to show us a certain aspect, but then to move beyond them is for us to truly see what is already in there, what is already known to us. If I say I'm a certain something, then for instance, I'm so focused around that, that I'll forget the other aspects that I am. For instance, I was saying to myself, but I have to do this. And then at the same time, I was defending this. And then I love dancing and I never danced anymore. I forgot to do this because I was so, for instance, you focus so much on something, you forget about something else. So to live in full expression of your joy, of your natural state of divinity, which is pure bliss, have to let go of those expectations, of those limitations that sometimes are very limiting in a way that the expectation of what is supposed to be is causing you to feel a certain block. It's causing you to feel anything less. It causes you to feel less than joy instead of feeling anything but that, anything less than that. That is what I really wanted to say. So these things can really be transmuted through our awareness that perceives everything as the divine. Even sometimes spiritual ego, even the mind that influences in a way that ego becomes too much over involved, even that purely comes from the divine. Because when you look at source of all things, you will see that you are a unique ray of creation. So yesterday I promised to show you how you can do that in your own light activation. I promised to share that and I didn't have time to because the video was so long. But I want to share today something that we did with the client yesterday, day before yesterday. And it was the simple thing to go deep within you, to kind of feel yourself as your I am, to go to this pot, to one tiny dot that is the source of all. You don't have to imagine it like a dot, but that is how I felt it. And then you can feel this explosion of multitudes of bursting rays out of it, coming out of it. And you traveled on one of those rays. At the same time, you're also part of the whole, of that dot, which is the whole. So you will always see that the dot and the infinity of all are one and the same. So when you will see that ray, and you can feel it like a cord that's coming through you, through this body, and when you will go deep within and just breathe as one with this core, you will feel that your human self is breathing in unison with your divine self that is directly linked with all that is, to that source of all. And when you will go even deeper, you will see that everything, every experience, even that which you choose through the filter of the mind, which you call an illusion, whatever, is really being governed by that higher state, that higher divinity. So there's no separation. When you feel separation in you, you will know it because you will feel, you won't feel the same divinity. You won't feel the same peace and joy and bliss. You can go within, you can try breathe together with your divine ray, your origin of divinity, and you will see that when you ask yourself, is there anything that is not coming from it? If that ray has created all of this, you will see that there is no such thing because they're one. The divinity is what creates all of life, all of the experience, even that which we call the mind, the polarity, the duality consciousness. Nothing does not come from source. So the moment we can have this spiritual ego like this, like zap, no longer needs to exist because we feel through purity of divine self. So if you are noticing this in other people, in others, and just know that it is an experience that even if it is, as how we perceive it through ego, it's still there for a reason. It's still there because everything is for a reason. So there's no judgment. When I speak about spiritual ego, I don't mean anything like that. There is no judgment. There's just awareness. So be aware. It's about choice. Do you choose to still, be kind of like glued to these old beliefs that you think you've read something and you think you know everything, or you think you see someone and you think you know them, you think you know more about them than yourself? Why? Why would you choose to feel that way? Where is this belief coming from? Because it has an origin. Everything has an origin. So you need to look back. And back, it just means more deeper within. Because there is no such thing as a linear reality when you're moving into your center. So things are very much like a paradox. Everything in divinity is a paradox. It is simple and it's complex, and at the same time, it's light and it's dark, and it's human self and it's divine self. It's both coexisting. It's not just two, both. It's all coexisting as one. And there is no such thing as illusion. Maybe the only thing we can call an illusion is that which is not knowing our true self. But the experience of not knowing ourselves is also an experience that is coming directly from the divine. So in that case, again, there is no illusion. You see, the deeper you go, the less you have these polarized opposites And you can barely manage to, to really associate that with words. It is so much simpler. Everything you will see the dual nature of everything. You will see beyond just that. You will feel there is so much more. And even that which we are saying with our words, there's a truth beyond that. And the more that you're living in your fully ascended state, this will be non-describable with words. That is the paradox of the whole thing. That is why many things I know of, I cannot even speak about, because they cannot be put in words yet. I try, and I'm guided to spirit to verbalize what comes through in the moment. And there are many things and aspects of me which I cannot verbalize, and I bet it's the same with you. So know that spiritual ego is what keeps us from really fully knowing ourselves. It is the ivory tower that prevents us from seeing the whole of us. If there are others who might be sending you messages that they know better for you than you do yourself, bless them, welcome them on your journey, but you don't have to share your journey with them. It's all about that, and there's no ego in that. It's just a matter of choice. And I'm sending you much love, many blessings, and I just have to add that the same thing goes for me with questions and answers. I made a few videos on questions and answers, and I really don't resonate with that anymore. I know there's many people, I've seen some of the videos from others who only answer questions of other people. And I like that. And I like that in a way. But for me, I'm getting more into the state of I can provide an answer to a certain question, because even though I answer something, it's coming through my own awareness. It's not coming through your awareness. So basically what I can do is when I'm asked a question, I can ask even more questions to trigger even more of divine remembrance. And this is my path. So I won't be focusing so much on these questions and answers in such a form that people expect. What I mean by this is when someone asks you, I had this and this experience, can you validate what this means for me? I cannot. You have to feel it through your own awareness, through your own center. The higher dimensional living is not giving guidance in such a way that you give answers. I've been stressing this the whole year, and I'm fully living it now. That's why probably, I just don't feel guided to do this anymore. I'm guided to really authentically share what comes to my own inner knowing through spirit. And if anyone who's also in this path can relate to this, and it helps them to trigger even more of divine remembrance, that is great. But really, if I really share a certain knowing of something, I'm sharing it through my own inner knowing. Maybe your knowing is not there. Maybe it's not the same. It's just about that. It's as simple as that. So thank you everyone for watching. Know that we are all one. I love you all, but at the same time, it's not personal, but I can answer all the questions, and I can have inner dialogues with all of you. We're all one in spirit anyway, and it's the energy. It's not so much how we exchange in words, but it's about the energy of love that is being exchanged with all of us. And when spiritual ego is completely purged, we see that there's just love, there's just love. No more definitions, labels, needing to be right. It's just love. I'm welcoming you in my journey, and I'll talk to you soon again. Bye, much love.